Welcome.
Welcome to the first episode. Well, let's say this is the third try at my first episode of my new podcast. My name is Jason. I'm 52 years old, and I've recently been diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer that has spread to my spine. Let's talk about it. So welcome to Prostate Cancer, the Road to Recovery. A little about me. I live in the Tri-Cities area of Washington. I'm a retired Navy. As a Navy chief mechanic on submarines, bubblehead. And I retired from the Navy after 20 years, 10 months, and 20 days. And I went to commercial nuclear. I lived out in Minnesota for a little while, and I'm now here at the Columbia Generating Station as a supervisor in training. On top of that, I'm an adjunct professor at the local college. I teach nuclear technology and advanced thermodynamics classes at the Columbia Basin College. And on top of that, I do leather work, and I'm a writer. So hopefully soon to be author. I think the difference between writer and author is, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Not what we're talking about. So I know what you're thinking. I was around reactors in the Navy, and now I work at a nuclear power plant. No wonder I have cancer, right? That's almost the first thing people say. We're going to talk about that in a later episode when we talk about radiation exposure and risk. For this episode, I'll just say that I'm not too worried about my current job, commercial nuclear, as a cancer risk. This is my first episode, so please give me a little leeway with my audio and my scripts. All right, so let's talk about my diagnosis. That's usually where this journey starts for a lot of people. How did you find out, right? Well, I found out because of a PSA test. So it's a blood test. Back in March of this year, and right now it's the end of August of 2023. And back in March, I was getting a routine checkup with my doctor, and she had ordered a PSA test. And I got the results, and it was a little high. So there are different standards for what is high, and those standards over the years have changed, and we'll talk about that in a future episode. You're going to get we're going to talk about that because this is the first episode. You're not going to get all the information right now. It's too much to talk about, and I'm not going to blabber at you for an hour. But we're going to talk about exactly what those standards mean, why they've changed over the years, and in 2019 that ship kind of righted itself, and they have a better standard for those. But my first test was actually back in 2017. I went looking through my medical records, and I found a PSA test in 2017 that was 1.59. Now, the standards we're talking about, there's a value that's, hey, are you at risk or not? And let's be clear. This is one of the first things that people want to know is, do I have cancer or not? Your PSA test, your PSA value on your test does not, I'm shaking my head, does not tell you whether or not you have cancer, okay? It is just an indicator, and they found that it's a better indicator than they originally thought, which is huge. It's a very important indicator, but there's lots of things that can make your PSA go up. So back in March, I started getting back on a bicycle. I was like, you know what? I'm obese. I'm a fat guy. I'm going to lose some weight. And I had a stationary bicycle that I've looked at for a couple of years and thought, I should ride that. And finally in March, I decided to. Coincidentally, shortly after getting on the bike, my PSA numbers were up. So it was part of the conversation I had with my doc. And that's what's important is when you go to your doc and you ask for a PSA test, and you should. If you're a man, you should ask for a PSA test. When you go ask for that, talk about other things that may drive it up. So anything that causes trauma to that area, trauma to your prostate, heavy lifting, excessive exercise, riding a bicycle, lots of different things like that. Just an infection. Hey, I started doing this, and now I might have an infection. So the first thing they'll do, so there's lots of ways to diagnose whether or not you have prostate cancer. There's not lots of ways. There's really one way, and it's a biopsy, right? And you don't want to jump right to a biopsy. Once again, in a future episode, we'll talk about that. But you want to weed out some of those things that, well, let's make sure it's not this or not that. Some of those easier things, those less invasive, because a biopsy is, well, when you have prostate cancer, it's welcome to prostate cancer. Leave your dignity at the door because, it's gone. And a biopsy is pretty invasive. It kind of reset my idea of what invasive means. Anyway, so she put me on a antibiotic. And it was ciprofloxacin. I'm going to murder a lot of words in this podcast. It started with a C. It sounded like it might have flaxin in it, maybe cipro something. So she put me on that for 5 weeks. And so the 6th week, I got my PSA tested, and it was 6.25. She said, hey, it went up, and it shouldn't have gone up. I said, oh, okay. Well, that's bad, right? She's like, no, not necessarily. But we're going to have you go talk to a urologist. All right. So I go out to get referred out to a urologist, and he says kind of the same thing. Hey, there's lots of stuff that can cause this to happen, and maybe the antibiotics just haven't caught up yet. Let's do another test. So we did another test a week and a half later, and so 2 weeks later I get the results, and it's 6.9. So once again, it was 4.63, 6.25, and now 6.9. And way back in 2017, I don't know if I ever finished telling you that story, my PSA level was 1.59. And had I known that was elevated, in fact, almost 3 times what it should be for a man in his 40s, I would have taken action between then and now. Now I'm 52, and it's like, oh, holy crap, this isn't good. But it's not horrible at this point. I'm just, I went through the antibiotics. Hey, let's get you tested again. It was 6.25. Okay, go see a urologist. Now I'm at 6.9. So he says, hey, this is quite the rise. I'm going to do a biopsy. I'm all right. So we did the biopsy. Once again, leave your dignity at the door. It was a 12-core sample. We're going to talk about what the biopsy is and what it feels like and how they do it later in a future episode. Yeah. But they took, for me, 12 core samples out of my prostate, and 7 of those 12 came back positive. Now, when they're grading prostate cancer, there's lots of different things they look at. They have to look at how dense is the cancerous cells, how advanced do they seem to be, how active are they, right? And they're trying to grade this, and so you get 3 numbers. You get a Gleason score, and this could be anywhere from, I don't actually know what the low number is, some low number. I've seen guys in the prostate cancer forums with Gleasons of 6. So as far as I know, that's the lowest. That's not what mine is. But I do know it goes up to 10. And so mine's at 7, a Gleason score of 7. Now, there's 2 other numbers that are they're as important, maybe more important. And they will tell you kind of how aggressive it is. They'll give you the idea of, hey, is this worse? Is this a bad 7 or a good 7? Like a 7 that's graded a 3 plus 4 would be not as bad as mine, which is a 7, which is graded as a 4 plus 3. No, the plain person terms, intermediate, unfavorable. So at this point, and this is in early June, this is all I know. I just know it's intermediate, unfavorable. And so we talk about treatment, and he goes right into, hey, let's get after this. You're a young guy. It's not likely that bad. These are the kind of things that are, okay, all right, this feels not as bad as I thought initially. And he talked me through, hey, if it's prostate, it looks like it might be in just half your prostate, or mostly half. And if that's all, the only spot it's at, he, a urologist who's a surgeon, recommended surgery. Now, this is important for anybody starting this journey. When you are talking to a urologist that's a surgeon, they will recommend surgery most often. If you are talking to a radiation oncologist, they will recommend radiation most often. It is, and I'm going to beat the table, so critically important that you go, and I'm going I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to later tell you not to do, right? Dr. Google is not where you want to get your information. But there are spots on the internet where you can get good information to make informed decisions. And that's what's important about this. And so he's talking me through this idea of, hey, if we do surgery, we remove the cancer, the prostate, the part of the prostate that's bad, we shoot it, zap it with a little radiation, and then, assuming we get it all, we've reset your clock, and you might be good for 10 to 15 years. So I learned a lot of things in that conversation. I'm just going to babble through a few of them. One, if you are a man, you will get prostate cancer. If you live long enough, all men, if they live long enough, get prostate cancer. It's unavoidable. Which is weird. It's a weird thing to think. Like, we're all on this ticking clock. Now, most men don't die of prostate cancer, right? Well, there's a reason, because you get it when you're older, and it's so slow growing. Prostate cancer is a really slow growing cancer usually, unless you're me. And it will take years and years and years. And so if you are in your 70s or 80s and you get diagnosed with prostate cancer, even if you're like a Gleason 6, 3+3, they're probably, and I'm not a doctor, but they're probably not going to recommend surgery or radiation. It might be, you might have a good 15, 20 years left in you. Go for it. Just go live your life. Maybe eat a little healthier, maybe make sure you're exercising, and you'll be fine. And it may not be prostate cancer that takes you out. So there was a lot of really good information in those initial conversations. And so he said, and if you do have it and you're young, you remove it, you get rid of the cancer, and then you've reset a clock, because it will come back eventually. I'm like, okay, 10, 15 years, then it comes back, then what? Well, he says, then you're on a different path, because we've already done surgery. Now you're looking at hormone therapy, what is called androgen deprivation therapy, and so ADT, that's the short. That's what you're going to see in the forums. That's when you go to the Facebook and you join the Prostate Cancer Forum, which I strongly recommend. Go to the groups, find support networks, talk to people about your situation, and tell them you're Gleason. Tell them you're this plus this. Tell them how old you are. Those are all important information to help share information. Anyway, I get you do ADT, and that might be a shot once every 3 or 6 months or once a year. It might be pills every day. It might be a pill every month. It might be both. And then another treatment option is chemo. So the idea was you do surgery first, or at least my urologist for my situation at that moment said, let's do the surgery. And in 10 to 15 years, you come back, you get prostate cancer again. Then we can go after the hormone therapy, because that clock is a little bit shorter. Because hormone therapy has its own challenges. And it's only effective for so long, because our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are so good at trying to figure out how to overcome things, except for eventually cancer, right? But we've been overcoming cancer all our lives. Our cells have been rebuilding and regenerating. And there's a term, I'm going to murder this word. I'm going to murder so many words in this. I shouldn't use the word murder. I'm going to mess up so many words. And one of them is apoptosis. Apoptosis. I don't know. Cancer, it's cell death, right? And our bodies, when we have cells that aren't the way they're supposed to be, our bodies recognize that, because we have cells that just hall monitors, right, running around our systems. FYI, I never took biology in high school. I was a science guy. I was a physics kind of guy, thermodynamics. I got a D in chemistry, though. But I was a physics guy. I love thermodynamics. I love fluid flow, stuff like that, not biology. So this is kind of all new to me. Anyway, you get these hall monitor cells running around, and they're like, oh, hey, you shouldn't be here. And then they kill it. and then it clears it out of the system, and then we're fine. So we're always fighting malignant cell transformation, right? I went on a babble there. All right, so the point is, you eventually, you do surgery, it comes back, you do ADT, this hormone therapy. So prostate cancer has a fuel, and that fuel is testosterone. Now, don't jump to the idea that, hey, I have high testosterone. Does that mean I'm more likely to get prostate cancer? No, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, there's still a lot to this that they really don't know how it works. Hopefully, and I'm going to get with a couple of medical professionals and do some one-on-one interviews to help sort out some of this other information that I'm a little vague on. So a lot of this in these initial episodes is me and my story. What do you want to do with hormone therapy? Androgen deprivation. If you probably took biology, you already know what I mean, androgen deprivation. So it's stopping your testosterone, and not just your testosterone, it's stopping the development and use of any of those androgen, is that right? I don't know, androgen hormones, testosterone, estrogen. So that's kind of a gut kicker for a guy, because testosterone is where we get our energy a lot of times. It's where we get our strength. It's where we get some of our mood comes from. I mean, chemicals, hormones, control so much of our lives or our personality, and so ADT is kind of a gut kicker, but once again, I'm not going to go into the details here. Future episode, I got so much info. I've got like 8 scripts already written for episodes. And then if eventually your body figures out how to overcome that, and you move on to, hey, let's try this other ADT chemical, this other treatment, and eventually your body overcomes that, and so you become what they call castration resistant, because that's what ADT kind of is. It's chemical castration. Whew, boy, that is hard to say out loud. I'm still having a tough time. So let me get through this, and then I'll give you the rest of my story. Yeah, so your body becomes castration resistant. So there used to be this idea that, well, they'll save chemo for that period of time. Now things are changing on the prostate cancer front, and they're saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be waiting. Maybe we should be doing this earlier. And what we decided is, well, we haven't got there yet. So he's given me this whole timeline. And at first, I was not taking it very seriously, to be blunt. I was joking with people, sharing it with everybody that I was talking to, and I want to go back in time and undo that part of what I did. I wasn't shy about it because I didn't think it was very serious at that time. I'm like, my mental state was, I'm only 52. I'm 15 years from retiring from work. There's nothing that this can't be it, right? So what I'll say is I recommend you do talk to people, but be reserved with the levity at which you talk with people about, and make sure you talk to your doctor and get the whole story before you go sharing your story. Because what happened is that was the plan, and he said, I'm just going to get these couple scans, and we're going to find out. We're just going to make sure that it's only in your prostate. And that's where my roller coaster hit the peak and started down the hill. And when they did a CT scan with contrast and a nuclear medicine bone scan with 25 point something microcuries of technetium-99, and then, of course, a CT scan with contrast. And both of those came back with something on my spine, in my L1 lumbar vertebrae. And just so you know, your L1 is not your tailbone. That's what I thought. Once again, didn't take biology. Turns out your lumbar vertebrae are numbered from top to bottom of the lumbar. So you have your whatever the neck ones are, your T, and then you have your main spine ones, your S. I might have those backwards. I don't know. All I know is the L's are your last ones, your lumbar vertebrae, and the top of your lumbar vertebrae is the L1, and that has showed up with something on both scans. One of the two scans, I don't remember which, also showed something on one of my ribs on my left side. So we took a look at that and I said, well, does that mean that's cancer? And he said, well, it doesn't look good. I was like, well, okay, but does that mean it's cancer? And he said, no, we won't know till we do a biopsy. Great. So we went and did a biopsy on my spine, on my L1. The spot on my rib is really small. It wasn't worth going after a biopsy. If my talk with the doctor, and talk to your doctor, have very, very open discussions with your doctor. My talk with my doctor, we came to the agreement that if we find out it's not a prostate cancer that's metastasized to my spine, then we're going to assume the rib's not. If it is prostate cancer that's shown up in my spine, then we're going to assume the rib is. I stick with that. That was a fair thing. So, yeah, that's where my prognosis kind of got worse. So I wanted to be more reserved about it at that point, but I kind of already put it out there. Surgery was off the table for me. I brought it up a couple of times. I kept looking I wanted to do the surgery. I wanted why don't we just get the main cancer out? There's a lot of reasons out there that doctors can tell you about, and it just doesn't help. Once it's moved out of the prostate, that surgery comes with so many other risks, incontinence, and you might be in a diaper the rest of your life. At the time, it was worth the risk to get rid of the cancer, but if you do that surgery with that type of risk, knowing you're not getting rid of all the cancer because it's still in my spine. It might be in my rib. Who knows where else it could be? And he pointed out that these scans are only the bone scans. They're not going to show up if it's in my soft tissues. That's not going to show up. So my treatment plan at that point changed to instead of the surgery, we went to hormone therapy and chemo. And so we had a plan for starting a chemical called Zytiga, 1,000 milligrams a day, 4 big horse pills to take every morning on an empty stomach. When we talk about these drugs more specifically, I'll give you all the details of all these. And then a Lupron shot once every 3 months. And my radiation oncologist, because once you have cancer, you get a bunch of doctors. You get a urologist, you get a radiation oncologist, you get an oncologist, you get a cancer coach, you get so many people that want to help. And it's good. I said that. I kind of delivered that wrong. It's not how I feel. It's just a little overwhelming is what I meant by it's a lot of people. Anyway, so it can be overwhelming. All this is overwhelming. And that's where you need a good support network. You need to talk to people about what you're going through. Talk to your work early. See if you have any state benefits that can help out. Talk to your loved ones, your family. Make sure they know what's going on with you, because there's going to be some mood changes. Even before you start the hormone therapy, there's going to be changes, and that's tough. The hormone therapy, we're going to talk about in a future episode, how it affects you. The quick notes, I'm getting to where I want to wrap this up pretty soon. The quick notes on the immediate changes is I immediately changed my diet. I got a couple books. My doctor, my radiation oncologist, has a book out there, which I should have brought in here with me so I could tell you the title. I can't remember. It has integrative and yeah. Anyway, I'll look that up. I'll put that on a future episode. There's so many future episodes. I made some immediate changes, plan for making sure that what do I need to do to make sure I'm giving my body its best chance? And a lot of that was exercise and food, diet, not just food, not like eating more. I'm a big guy. I said I was obese. Better diet. And so I put together a bunch of recipes. I started sharing that information. I said, hey, and all the guys that are my age and older that I talk to, when they ask, I am pretty adamant. Go get your PSA tested. Okay? It will not tell you whether or not you have cancer, but it's an indicator. And it's an indicator you should pay attention to. And I'm seeing, it used to be they didn't care until you were late in your 60s. If you are in your 40s and older, get your PSA checked. Even if you're just doing it once every 2 or 3 years, get it checked. And if it's above 2, start having conversations with your doctor. Is there more you need to do? That's going to be immensely important. So it changed my life, and I wish I'd had known a little earlier so I could have changed my life a little earlier. I could talk for an hour about that kind of stuff, but once again, we're going to cover that in a future episode. And for this, I babbled longer than I wanted. I'm skipping segments 3, 4, community support. Yep, I kind of hit on that. Yeah. So future episodes, I hit on those throughout this. We're going to talk about exactly what those chemicals do, the drugs do, what the treatments are, what they mean, what a biopsy is, what the experience is like, what to expect, resources that are out there, how to stay connected, and we're going to talk with some medical professionals. We're going to talk about other people going through this. We're going to have interviews with them. Once again, thank you for joining me on this first step of the road to recovery. I appreciate knowing you're out there, and please get your PSA checked. Know that I'm here for you. Together, we're going to explore, learn, and grow. If you have any questions or stories or need support, please reach out. Till next time, take care. Love you all.